All right, we're live. Okay, welcome everyone to our next call with all of our mentors for the World Game and for all of the events that are taking place. So great to have you all on here. Post your comments and everything down below on this circle, because we're doing all this obviously via GeniusU now. And what we're going to do on this call is three things. First one is give you a little bit of an update on the World Game, so you can kind of just get a bit of a sense from Michelle where things are at, where we're heading towards. So give you a bit of an overview on that. Some of you are new for the call. Some of you have been on, in past weeks as well. So we're going to go through that. Second thing is we're going to also give you a bit of an update on our Melbourne event, which we had last week. And we had some really, really great stories that came out of that, which were awesome. So we're going to give you a bit of an update on that. Just going to share a bit about that as well. And keeping in the theme of what we're now doing on each of these calls, we're going to go through a very specific how-to. So last week, we went through the how-tos on marketing, starting with the digital marketing. So Suraj went through that. If you missed it, you go back, listen to last week's one. This week, we're going to go to the second phase of that, which is how do you actually do marketing effectively to partners, right? Like what's the way, whether you're running an event, whether you're doing it with your own products, what's the ways for you to actually set that up for success? And that's going to be the last part of the call, right? So you're going to have three different bits that you can be using or coming back and referring to as we go as well. So let's kick it off, first of all, with Michelle sharing a little update on where we are currently with the World Game, which is now 2 weeks until launch.
Less than. It's like 1 week and 6 days. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Yeah, just literally counting the hours and the minutes now, because it's June the 10th, which was 2 weeks yesterday, while we're live at the GES in Brisbane. So I had a sneak peek at all the videos yesterday, everyone. I got to look at the micro degree. Oh my God, it's so awesome. You're going to love it. So yeah, so the first thing to share is we've now got 1,200 people booked in to play the game, registered to play the game, which is pretty awesome. So that number just keeps going up now. And this week, you're going to receive information on how you can start sharing as a partner. And I know many of you have actually been doing that, because I've been seeing in your circles, those of you that have been taking on circle leadership positions, you've been sharing, you've been telling people in your circle to join the World Game, you've been telling them why, you've been getting them all excited. So I've seen lots and lots of posts from you guys about that. So we're going to send out some actual copy that you can be mailing out and some social media posts that you can be sharing as well about the World Game, but also specifically about the micro degree, because the micro degree launches on June the 10th. It runs for 14 days. So every day we're going to be releasing a new part of that. So we really want everyone to start on June the 10th and do that whole journey with us. Roger's going to be there every day, sharing with everyone about the micro degree, interacting with everyone, answering questions, a bit like we did when we had the GEM launch. So the best time to do the micro degree is starting on June the 10th. Of course, it'll be there anytime after as well. But the more people that join on that day, the better, and actually get to go through all the learnings together as well. So that's pretty exciting. So I feel like I've had a cheeky little sneak peek, and we'll be sharing that with you very, very soon. So look out for the email coming this week for the partner sharing and how you can actually enroll people into the World Game and into the micro degree. Also, the circle leader applications. I know I've seen lots of you have been put into those circle leader positions. You've already had a contact with Kathleen, so I can see many of you stepped up. We've got people in the Dynamo circle. We've got people leading some of the passion circles and purpose circles. So you can keep applying for those positions. You can keep putting the comments in the chat there in the GeniusU chat. So go ahead and post a comment if you're looking to lead one of our circles. And that actual webpage form will be coming out as well today. So you can go and do that on the webpage, which will be a little bit easier. The other thing that's happening this week as well is we're opening up registrations for the Partner Accelerator for Q3. So any of you who really want to get a head start in the World Game and really want to be 10xing and implementing everything from the micro degree, we're going to take a group of 20 people through the 3-month Partner Accelerator, where you actually build a promotion plan and generate those additional revenues. So that's going to come out this week as well. So quite a lot of activity for this week. And also, excuse me, we've still got some places for the Performance Consultant and Master Trainer program, which is in July. I know quite a few of you booked in calls last week to do that, last week and this week. But if you are wanting to upgrade and become one of our Master Trainers or one of our Performance Consultants, these are the kind of people who are going to be earning anything as a Performance Consultant, anything from an extra 5K a month as a Master Trainer, anything to like 150K per year in additional revenue. So if that's something that you're interested in finding out more about, then also drop a little note in the GeniusU chat there, and we'll make sure that we book a call in with you. So yes, lots happening, and just 13 days to go, and 25 seconds probably as well. All right, across to you, Roger.
Okay, all right. Okay, and I will actually just add a few extra bits in. We've got over 1,000 people now who've joined the game. That's like going to go up to 2,000 very quickly, and then beyond that too. Let me share my screen for a second, where a couple of things I wanted to just cover. First one is off the back of what Michelle just talked about. If you actually are one of the city leaders who are in here, you'll see all the people now who are joining us as city leaders, right? So we have Sophie, who's joined us now in Stockholm, which is super awesome. So she's come on board. That was like last Monday. We posted that up, and there's a whole bunch of other people, some of who I actually mentioned as well on the last call. We have Gabe, who's in Mexico City now, who's joined us. We've got now all these different people who are like on board. We've got Sherry in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who's joined us. And then a whole bunch of like Paulina, like city in Bay of Plenty. And so more and more, like we had another 5 who just joined this week, as you just heard from Michelle. So really exciting to have everyone come on board. We, in the same way that Michelle has had a sneak peek at some of the videos for our micro degree coming up, we also have had a sneak peek at some of the actual designs that are coming on board as well. So for example, when the World Game actually launches, you're going to actually be able to choose on our store exactly which are the giving impacts you want to be giving. You can see they're all designed based on the United Nations global goals, so you can choose the right one that you're going to give. These are all linked to B1G1. And then you can actually, every time you're doing this, see what the results are on your actual dashboard and scoreboard, right? So we're actually putting together, scoreboards which actually are showing, who are the ton of top leaders and how much they're actually doing in terms of impacts, which we're going to be seeing by city. We're going to be seeing it by circle, seeing it by like individual as we go as well. Doing the same when it actually comes to tracking now, not only on your scoreboard, your Genius dollars and all the goodies in terms of your connections and so on, but also your giving impacts too. So you can see all of this and people can then find you easily and actually track and work with you as well. So all this is on its way, which is super exciting. And it's going to be a really, really massive jump forward when we actually launch all of this as well. So definitely get connected up with everyone else in your city or in your area to get going on that as well. Talking of cities and talking of, we actually have in Melbourne a city leader already in Mel, and she was there at our Melbourne event, and we had like a really, really great event there in Melbourne. So I'm going to come over to Jess just to share a few key highlights on what happened on Melbourne, and then I will also share from my point of view in a second as well. So let's come over. I'll stop sharing my screen, and let's come over to Jess.
Hey everyone, can you hear me? Because my camera is not playing the game, unfortunately, today.
Yeah, I can't see you.
So we'll just keep watching you, Roger. Pretend like you're me. So we had Melbourne last Tuesday, which was fantastic because we're really back to back at the moment with Perth the week before, and then obviously Brisbane next week. So what was the coolest thing about Melbourne? And I didn't actually go to Perth, but I went to Melbourne. Was just seeing all of the old familiar faces and the partners that we've had in the community for a while now, and it's just so great to kind of have that face-to-face interaction with people as opposed to doing it all online like we normally do. And I really wanted to bring everyone's attention to some of the cool partners that we did have on board for Melbourne, including Sarah Taylor from the Champion Lifestyle, Julie Jara, Holistic Healing, Sonia Sorich from Spa Wellness Consulting, Jordan Chenery, which is a new partner from a company called Plexo. He's also partnering for our upcoming Brisbane event. Alison Rental from Ackerman Home, and Melanie Colling, who runs her own business and is also our social leader in Melbourne. Some of the stats around Melbourne, which are cool too, is we hit $1,000 per person, which is basically our target for our entrepreneur fast tracks, and with only 140 people in the room. So that was pretty cool. We've also given out nearly $7,000 in affiliate comms and in another almost $6,000 in the partner pot too, which is, it's very cool to be giving back as we all know. So Brisbane we've got coming up next week, and I'm more on the speaker side of things. And I just wanted to draw everyone's attention to some of the cool speakers that we've got, because the Changemaker panel is going to be rocking with a guy called Alex Svetsky, who's the CEO and co-founder of a company called Stash and Amber, which is a blockchain company. Thomas Miller, director and ecosystem catalyst, which is probably one of the coolest titles I've ever heard of, from Consensus, and Lisa Brincat, CEO of Futurist Collective. Plus, in the morning, we have Kim Hansen, who's the CEO of Enhanced Society, which is a very cool company focused on blockchain and doing it good. So if you have an opportunity to look up Enhanced Society, I highly recommend it. Over to you, Roger. Wait, I can't hear you, Roger.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just putting up the website on it, and because I wanted to show everyone that as well. And I had the Australian Entrepreneur. Why is it not showing up on my screen? Do you have the link there that you could drop in the comments chat as well?
Yeah.
It's
the Australian Entrepreneur Summit.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, good. Right, so I'm going to kind of use this as a bit of an example as well of what happens when we have partners and how we kind of do it. So we'll roll through that too. So let me share my screen now, and we're gonna. I'm gonna add one extra thing in based on what you just heard from Jess and from Michelle, and then it's gonna kind of lead into the second part, which is the whole plan in terms of the marketing side going forward as well, right? So let's first of all, I want to open up Team Charter as well, so you can kind of see how we set things up for success when we're managing any kind of promotion or any kind of plan that we're doing. So we'll kind of walk through that in a moment. And then at the same time, this gives you a good chance to also see how you can be linking up with the right partnerships in the right way going forward. We'll give you some examples of it, right? Because everyone on this call in our team, we've got examples of people that have created good partnerships together off the back of the work we do, which is all around collaboration, right? So let me share my page again. Here we go. And what I'll do actually, just to get started, is I will start with the page which has got this on it. Yeah, I want to start with this. So I told a story which was actually at the Brisbane event, which happens 2 days after I did the marathon, right? So so some of you might have seen this. I posted this, right, saying that I kind of put this plan together about 6 months ago, where I said, why don't I just go and run a marathon, right, before I turn 50? So I kind of went ahead and did it, right? And so this happened actually on the Great Ocean Road, which is actually right next to Melbourne, and it's beautiful. And really, if you go Google, like most scenic marathons in the world, it pops up, right? It's one of the top 10 marathons. So it's like perfect. This is like perfect timing. So I didn't think about that 6 months ago, like how much training I'd have to do and so on. But I was like, great, I'm going to go do this. And I told a story at the beginning of the actual Entrepreneur Fast Track, right? In fact, I think I'll have it here. If I look for Entrepreneur Fast Track Brisbane, let me just pull this up. Here it is. So in here, kind of at the very, very beginning, you see these are the, oh, sorry, what am I talking about? Brisbane, Melbourne, right? Wrong one. Okay, right. Okay, here's Melbourne. Okay, so the story I told at the very beginning was basically about my experience actually running the race, right? Because what generally, like, I'm sure many of you like have done sports of one sort or another, and at the same time, some of you would have also done a marathon. And so when I told my story, and it really is beautiful, this whole run, right? But when I told the story about it, it's kind of like when I started, you were like in this mass of people, and you didn't even feel like you're running. It's just like, oh, this is really fun, right? It's like everyone's just running together. And then at some point during the race, there's this transition when it kind of suddenly gets serious, right? Because like then everyone's running their own race. And there's kind of like where everyone stops chatting. So the big name was chatting to each other and everyone's just running along. But then it just starts getting a bit more hardcore after about 15 or 20 kilometers in. And everyone's clearly just running their own race at that point. And no one's chatting with each other anymore. And everyone's spread it out a lot more as well. And it's kind of, and it can actually feel like you're on your own. And I told the story because like we actually walked through and explained how we were going to be doing the whole World Game. And off the back of the World Game, we had loads of people in Melbourne who actually came and joined it as well. So all the information on that was further on here, right? All the World Game and how we were doing it. But I referred to that at the very beginning because like when you're actually doing this whole marathon thing, I thought, you know what, this is so much like running a business, right? Like it starts off and everyone's like, well, excited. It's like, oh, cool, I get to start my own business. And everyone says, oh, you're an entrepreneur now. That's really awesome. And then you actually start doing it. And at some point, it feels like you're running your own race, right? It feels like it's like, oh my gosh, it's up to me to make this successful. And it's usually after the pain sets in, right? Like you have a few rejections, you have a few things that didn't work out, and you feel like you're on your own. And I said that at that point when that was happening, I started thinking, well, I could either just keep on thinking about my own pain, or I could start thinking about other people, right? So I started like looking at people around, and there was like this woman who went around, like ran past with this like, you know, pink shorts on. I was like, oh, interesting, pink shorts. I wonder what other kind of clothes she wears when she's not running, right? And then this old grandmother passed me, and I'm like, oh, look at that. Like, I wonder if she got any grandkids. And so like one by one, there was different people who were like either passing me or I was passing. And I was just thinking about each one of them and thinking, oh, well, good luck with the race and this kind of stuff. And as I started thinking that, the pain kind of like disappeared, because you no longer think about yourself anymore. You think about everyone else. And at the same time, like you got this real sense of like temporariness. Like even the pain's only temporary, right? Because the race is going to be finished. And how awesome to even be racing in the first place. And one thing they said at the beginning was that at one race in the past, a whale had actually swam alongside the entire marathon runners, which I thought was the most cool thing, right? So I kept on looking for the whale, right? And trying to call the whale in as well. And so like with all this stuff happening and realizing just how temporary everything is, and we are all part of a race, right? I mean, we're part of the human race, and we're all part of that. And then at the end of the race, everyone came back together again, right? Like, you know, everyone seemed like they're running on their own, but then at the end of the day, you realize it was actually just one big race when we were all in it together. And for me, that's what the World Games is all about. It's about that fact that for each of us individually, it can feel like we're on our own trying to make it all happen, when we actually get that we're all part of one big like community globally that's actually in this together. And yes, there's an element of competition, because that's what brings out the best in us. But there's also an element of collaboration, which is we're actually doing it to all get over the line together. And the fact that we actually can achieve it, no matter what it is that we think we want to achieve, no matter how far away the goal might appear, if we're all collectively moving towards it, we're all going to make it, right? And we're there to support each other as well. So I gave that as a metaphor, because I really just like felt that that was my biggest learning out of like, you know, going off and doing something that has nothing to do with business and realizing it has everything to do with business. That's all part of that same level of like, you know, sense of achievement and sense of belonging and sense of, you know, your life being worthwhile because you're doing something that actually at the time might like appear difficult, but actually takes you to a better place. I think that that's like a kind of important thing I wanted to just share with everyone. I think it's really key. And so there's an element of the World Game and how we're actually going to be playing it, and then the way that everyone gets involved, where the more you're getting connected to your own community, to the people who are in your city, to the people in your causes, get connected up to those people as well. So when you see who's leading the rankings, you kind of friend them and get connected to them as well. All that I think is like a super awesome, you know, part to actually be thinking through on where you're going as well. And by the way, for those of you who might be new to the call, the way that we are actually, you know, like running the call, like in terms of being able to, let me just get my page out here. Where is the page here? Okay, so is that if you see that the comments don't seem to be, this is the page we're all on right now, right? And if you see there's comments not moving, that you see this thing here says new comments available, you can just click there and it just refreshes, right? So you get all the latest comments. So you can see there's a bunch of other people here. So we've got, you know, Karen here, in a temporary glory forever. We've got John, we've got Jerry, you know, all from South Africa, from Liverpool. We've got Glenn here, also Paul Elizabeth. We've got Risman here. So I also wanted to do a highlight here, just before I get onto this whole part of the partnerships. Risman posted something, and each of you have your own story as well, right? And I really liked what Risman posted, which I saw on the weekend. So I'm just going to share it with you, because some of you would have seen it already, some of you may not. So it's here on Facebook, and definitely I'd posted this as well on Genius U, Risman. But like, she posted it here inside the Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind group, right? And here's what she wrote. Here's my story to inspire. And she tells a story of it, how it's only been 1 year since June 8th that she found and did her wealth dynamics test. So it's been 1 year since that happened, right? And she started Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind that year. So that was the very beginning part of Risman getting involved and connected with us. And she was at orange level at that point, and she was really working hard to try and build her mentoring business. And it was actually through that, like just working week by week through the micro degrees, and in 6 weeks, getting to yellow level through just following that pathway. And then she had a navigation call from Michelle, who said, hey, you could actually get to green level in 6 months. And then that's when Risman then connected up with me, and I invited her to join Crystal Circle. And then from there, you know, she got a Genius U Dynamo Award, which actually happened at the Genius U conference in South Africa, because all her stuff is all about how to actually build her, you know, businesses around using her passion for mapping and geolocation. So it's called Geodomain. I'll give you guys a link on it here as well, because some of you know Risman, some of you are meeting her for the first time here. So she actually, you know, she got really, really clear on her personal brand, how she's going to package up her products using all the tools that we talk about, which are all in as well. So I just let that open. And then she said that from that, you know, she's using Talent Dynamics, get really focused in the Netherlands. And then she met with Joe, who then explained her Peter Creator, which is basically the health dynamics profile. So then a few weeks ago, had another transformation, and she took the spectrum level test, and she came out blue level. And also in Health Dynamics, she came out green level. So she was yellow, and now she's up at green. And this is basically her telling her story. And she's actually posted screenshots of the blue level and the green level accumulation, which is just super awesome, right? So, so like this whole thing about like every one of us has a story, right? Like we're all there running the race, right? But each of us are there interconnecting with each other to make these things happen. And the fact that now Risman is, I mean, like we're her partner, right? Because she's using our tools within her company as she's growing that in the Netherlands now, right? So, and then that then I know it's only a matter of time before we end up, you know, being out there running an event in the Netherlands, right? Because one thing always leads to another, as it always does, as we actually just keep on planting the seeds and growing all the flow and igniting the geniuses one by one, which is really what the power is. So be thinking about every one of your partnerships, not as what do I get out of it today, but in what way is this planting a seed for the future, right? It's like really think about it that way, because with each one of them, it allows it to grow, because each one of them, if you make it a win-win, then both sides benefit off the back of doing that as well, right? So if we take something like, for example, the Brisbane, this is Australian Entrepreneur Summit, they're happening in Brisbane. So this is our big event coming up, which is when we're going to launch the World Game. So if you're in Australia or anywhere close and you can be at this event, I highly recommend you being there, because it's going to be a super duper event. And the fact we can actually launch the World Game there is like really exciting as well, right? So it's going to happen on the Sunday. We're going to be doing that, which is going to be the last session of the day. And we're going to have people all the way through this actually already coming on board and seeing how to play it as well. So this is going to be happening in Brisbane. You can see here like 9-day countdown, right? And here we give all the information about it. So this is a kind of typical way that you put a landing page together. And here you can see all the different speakers that we have. And we saw already that in New Zealand, we had over 100 bookings just through our online side, because when you actually have a lot of different people that are showing up, people go, oh, this must be a real big deal. I want to be there because of that, right? But we also have, as well as all the speakers who are going to be there, we also have our partners, right? So these are all our partners who all have come on board, and each one of them is committing to 5 or 10 tickets to bring people along to the event. And we, in turn, are giving them promotional benefits. You know, they're obviously on our website here. And then this becomes a really powerful way for each of them to also build their own personal brands, as well as support us, right? So it's a win-win both ways off the back of how we do that. So really, really important when we do our different team, we put our plans together in our team charter, and each one of our promotion plans, we will always have at least 5 different things. Like this is our digital marketing. So you can see our digital marketing will have 5 different ways in which people find us. So we can track that, right? So 5 pathways to 3 products, 5 pathways, 1 platform, 3 products. This here is the World Game, where we have different places that people are coming in to join the World Game. Similar thing, right? And similarly, when we actually run any kind of an event, like this is how we're running Entrepreneur Fast Track or GS, we'll have 5 different pathways. And we talked, like Entrepreneurs Institute database we'll talk about next week. Entrepreneurs Institute Online is what we talked about last week. But we also have our city leaders who come on board, who then get a percentage of everything that we do, running our events for us. And then we also then basically have their partners, as well as us obviously working with partnerships as well. And then they have their database too. So we're always looking at saying, right, how do we actually support people in the most effective way, having partners on board? And how do those partners really get good benefit by being a part of something as well? So whether or not you're actually running an event, whether you're doing a smaller workshop, whether you're actually going out there to co-partner with the product, is super duper important to have your hot list of partners down to say, who are the people that I can be working with to really move forward, right? And Jess has been in charge of all of our partnerships on the event side. So I'd love it, Jess, if you were to share with everyone how the likes of Tanya, Jenna, how they bring partners on board for the events we run, and then what we've seen our city partners, city leaders do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's so fantastic having people that are just focused on getting people into the room, really. And I just want to frame that properly. So we obviously go out through all those channels that Roger was just talking about, and by having dedicated team members who are focused on calling them, inviting them into the community, creating those relationships with them, leads into all sorts of conversations that we wouldn't have had with people. So once then we've started those conversations, then it's really easy to kind of see, well, how does them being involved with us benefit them? So what do we want to know about their business, and to see if we are the right fit. So that's kind of the first thing that we do, is really touch base with everywhere that we can through all those different channels and find out, is this the right fit for them? We have obviously all of the information that we have at hand, and really it's about providing the benefits that we can provide that's going to create more benefits for them and is going to be greater than the financial investment that they have with us. So that's really the main issue that we try to do with all of our partners, is go out and give them more benefits than the financial investment. So we do that through a number of different ways, getting them on the website. We've got a pretty good social media strategy that we put into place for our partners, so that our partners can also tap into our big social network. And obviously when they're at the event as well, Roger highlights them, and there's expo booths and various other things that they can get involved with at the event too. But one of the things, I guess, from our point of view that we do regularly is keep in contact with people and make sure that that we're top of mind when they're looking to invest with their marketing budget. That's it.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna ask Michelle also to add to that, because Michelle is head of our partnerships, right? So she meets with all our partners, and in some cases it's about running partnerships as an event. In other cases, it's about bringing on the right content partners or the right sales partners or other partners that can actually come and add value to as well. What would be like biggest tips you'd share, Michelle, for everyone out there who's not yet or is just starting to build their partnership support around them?
Hey everyone, hang on, let me put this back in. Hey everyone. I mean, what Jess said was great. Those are all the things that we've been doing with our partners. I think the other thing that I would say is always make sure that whenever you're building your partnerships, that you have some kind of agreement with people, because you actually have to find a criteria of who are the right people to bring on board as partners in the first place. So setting a criteria of what you're looking to do. And I know a number of people have been saying recently that they're wanting to set up partnerships, and they're wanting to create partnerships in their business, which is all wonderful and good, but you definitely want to have a criteria as to what makes for a successful partnership. And one of the things I always suggest you do, you don't have to have like a big, long legal agreement, but just like a one-page document you sign together, which is, hey, this is what we would, if this happened and this was our outcome, we'd be super happy. So like what your green, amber, red is, like we'd be super happy if between us we got 100 people to our event. This is what an amber is. We'd be content and happy that we'd done really well if we got 75, but if we only got 50, we'd feel disappointed, and we probably would maybe not spend all that time working together again. So you've got like what you have as your benchmark and your criteria for success. And that way, either of you can come back at any time and say, it's not working. Is there a better way we can do this? And even breaking those targets down as well, and saying, if you're going for 100, well, we would expect to see that 20 came in week 1 and 10 came in week 2 and 10 in week 3. So you can actually give somebody a structure that they agree to and they set as their targets. Now everybody's not just signing up to be a partner and saying they're going to, but now they're taking accountability and responsibility for the results that they're going to get with you as well. And if things don't work out, you can smile, still be friends, and go do something else together. But if things do work out, you can get super excited and plan your next partnership and do something even bigger the next time.
I'm just
you're on mute there.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Okay, so for everyone, and this is, again, whether or not you're running an event, whatever it is that you're doing, like if you do not have partners and you're trying to figure it out for yourself, not only are you missing out on one of the biggest areas where, I mean, we always expect that partners will bring in at least, between 20 to 50% of our business, depending on which product it is and depending on how new it is and how many people are on board, right? So that's a huge amount, right? It means that you're fundamentally, and doing anything from, going up 30% to 100% in your revenues as a result of having partners on board, which is massive. But there's a second part to it, which is that you then have all that incoming. They all then actually will then give you new opportunities or new possibilities to do things with you that you didn't even have before, that you can't do if you're just doing on your own. So 5 things, right? And this is all the things that already are just summarizing what Michelle and what Jess just went through. 5 things in order. First one, clear criteria, right? So criteria is all about, have you first of all said, this is what my ideal customer, this is what my ideal partner is, and this is what success looks like, and this is what failure would look like. So you're really, really clear, just writing that down and saying that's what it would be. And from that, you should be able to actually put together already your top 10 list of people who'd be your ideal partners, so you can then have a conversation with them, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is going off that is the right fit, right? So what you just talked about, right fit is about, is this someone who has the same customer base as me, right? Because if it's not the same customer base, do not work together, right? Because you both want to be able to actually add value to the same customer. Do we have the same mission? right? Like we actually pointed in the same direction. So you actually gave us, say, here's the idea, here's the pathway we're going. It's a win-win. Like if we're successful, we're both going to be moving towards where we want to get to. And the customer sees you've got the same mission as well. And thirdly, values. Are you actually aligned in your values, right? So this is all about, do you have the right fit? Third one, which is going to be my addition to it. So it's not what Michelle or Jess mentioned, but it's what we do and everything we do, is easy options. If you say to someone, would you want to be my partner? It's like, yeah, sure, be my partner. If you don't give them the options, they can't be your partner. Like, we'll do it really clearly. It's like, oh, you want to be a partner with Entrepreneur Fast Track? Well, the first way is you can be a event partner, which means that you're going to be taking 5 or 10 tickets. It's going to cost you X amount of money. You can expect to make X amount of money off the back of it. You give us your logo. Here's what you're going to get off the back of being our partner, and here's what we're going to give you, and here's how we're going to split it up. So it's like really, really clear. That's one possibility. Second possibility, you could be a partner by actually being a city leader, right? Which means then you're going to help to organize the whole thing, more commitment, and that's the next step. And the third one is be a speaker on our stage, right? And here's how you become a speaker on our stage. So just 3 really simple things. Don't make it more than 3 or else it gets too confusing. So maximum of 3 specific ways to play. That's your easy options, right? So clear criteria, right fit, easy options. Next one, this is something that you heard from Michelle, which is agreement, right? Have it written down. So where's your agreement? You obviously don't need the agreement until you've got the partnership. It does not need to be something written up by a lawyer, because you're only going in to do a product partnership together. But it needs to be written down like in an email or something to say, here's the point form, here's what we'll do, here's what you'll do, here's how we'll work together, here's the benefits to us, here's the benefits to you, here's the end result, right? So it's like really, really super clear, 5 things that you're putting in there. That's basically your agreement, right? And you don't even need them to both sign on it. You just have to basically say, we've written it down, that's where it's at. And so later on, if there's any confusion, you can go back to what that agreement is. And as time goes on, as numbers get bigger, of course, it can then become more legal and so on. But to begin with, don't get stuck on all that stuff, right? And the final thing is measurable results, meaning that someone will be your partner, but they won't come back again unless they see a measurable result off the back of it. So actually be able to say at the beginning, what's the end result you're looking for? You know, at the end of each of our events, we actually put a report together and we go out to everyone and we say, well, here's the results that we're going to give. Many of you know also, when we ran basically with our first event partners, we had a lot of people who came to us and said to us, hey, we want to bring people along. And they helped us get people into the room, which was great. But a lot of those people didn't buy anything, right? I mean, like, so, and because we were actually rewarding people based on a percentage of what people bought, if they didn't buy anything, we thought, well, that's not really fair on those partners. I mean, yeah, they didn't bring any revenue to us, but those people actually definitely added value to the event by being there. It allowed us overall to run the event, and as a result of that, we generated income. So let's actually pass some of that back. So we basically had a token amount we gave back for every person that came in the room. And we didn't tell people we were going to do that before it, right? We actually did that afterwards because we wanted to make sure there was a measurable result. So you might even go out of your agreement at the end of something, if it worked for one party but not for the other, to say, how do we actually make this fair or make this worthwhile enough that you'd want to do it again, right? Because at the end of the day, the whole goal of a partnership is to grow it, not to just do it once and be left with it, but to grow it so that every partner comes on board can see this real value in being part of it, right? And that's one of the most important things. Okay, so those would be the 5 things from this core: clear criteria, right fit, easy options, agreement, and measurable results, right? Which actually coincidentally spell CREAM, which is cream. And I don't know how appropriate that is. But anyway, a cream is really about the fact that your partnership is a cream across the cake, right? You can have the cake, which is your business, which is your product, which is your event. But if you don't actually have a way to add the extra layer, you don't add the cream to it, then it's not going to be anything like as good as if you actually just had the cake, right? So think of your partnership as kind of like, you know, the topping that actually allows everyone to actually be a part of this whole thing. And often with cakes, actually, they like the toppings more than anything else anyway, right? So that's what I would share as a little bit of a crash course in partnerships. We have got a little bit over time, but I hope that's been valuable to everyone. Catch up with you on the next call. And until then, do make sure that you share with everyone about the World Game. We're only 2 weeks away from it, and it's going to be super exciting once it launches. Thanks, everyone, for the call. We'll catch up with you all later. Bye.
Thanks, Roger. Bye, everyone.